Good afternoon YouTube. What we got here is all the parts you need to make a tent stove. That's a fat 50 cal ammo tin, bit of grill for the grate in the bottom, couple of bits of angle iron for that to sit on. That's a plate that was tigged up to a small bit of pipe which is going to go in the top for the exhaust to sit on. Well, not the exhaust, this pipe here, which will be the stove pipe. As you can see, I've had it flared. A very nice friend of mine did that. Then I've got a couple of plates. This one's a door, this one will be a baffle, and so yeah, I'll get it marked out and then I'll bring you back. Right, so I've got four holes marked out, two either side, and that's because these bits of angle are going to sit on the inside and the grill's going to sit on them. So I'll get those drilled, and then right, so my holes are drilled, and then I transferred them through and got them in the bit of angle as well, and we're just going to get them riveted in. Right, so you can see, a bit of angle's riveted in there now, so our grill should fit in there, and it does. So the grill is now held off the bottom, so the next bit will be to cut the door out. We'll mark out and cut out the door, and then this plate here will become the door. So my door's going to come in here and fit on like that. So I'll get that marked out where I want to cut, and I'll bring you back when I've got to there. As you can see, this is what I decided to go with. 10mm gap at the bottom, 10mm in from either side because it's going to sit flush at the end of this hinge, and then there's a bigger gap at the top. I don't really know why I went with that, but it just seemed like, you know, the right thing to do. And then this will be my opening. So there's quite a few designs with these stoves, and what I chose to do was use the hinge end as the opening for where I'll put my wood in, because this catch takes up a lot of space, and I'd quite like to keep it so that the lid will be liftable to empty the ash and stuff. So what I've got is this small plate here, which has had a piece of 50mm by 1.5 stainless tube tigged to it, and then I've got some more lengths of, they're 300 long, so they'll sit inside the box, 50 by 1.5 tube, and a very kind gentleman has flared the ends for me, so it'll sit snugly on top. So what I want to do is drill a hole in the top of this in the opposite corner, and this will sit through and be riveted on. That's my plan. So obviously I want it as far back as I can get it, somewhere there. Somewhere there, I reckon, and then I'll just mark round. So I know if I drill a 50mm hole where that circle is, this will fit through, and I can rivet to the plate and that will hold it tight. So I want the exhaust to come through here when the stove is together. I don't really know why, I just decided I wanted it that side. So the handle's going to have to come off, and then I'll flip it over, get a hole drill or hole saw, and we'll cut a hole in the top. To get this lid off, you can chisel them off, or you can drill out the spot welds. So I think I'm going to go for drill the spot welds. There you can see it, that one side is off, and these small raised lumps will just get flattened off with a grinder. So let's just get the other side off. Right, we'll see if we can pry that one as well. There we go, that one's off as well. So this will give me a really good flat top to put a pan on, and the exhaust should end up here somewhere, because the opening will be this end. So there's my circle, what I marked out. Just get a 50mm hole saw, and I'll cut that out. Right, I've got my hole drilled. As you can see, I've kind of changed my mind. I was going to go with offset, which would give me more room one side, but I changed my mind because I'll be looking at it and it'll really pee me off, and I don't really need the extra room the other side. So I've centered it, and all I did was use a 51mm hole cutter, which will give me clearance on a 50mm pipe, and then that should allow a little bit of room for that TIG weld that's in there. So if you can see here, there's two plates. It's not just one plate. So you'll go through and it'll feel like you've gone through, but you haven't. You've got to keep going because there's a second plate. So this will all squash up when I rivet that plate through. So I'm not worried about that. And that will obviously centralise my chimney. And he pokes through there like that. He'll be riveted around the top, and then my chimney will sit on top. Or my stovepipe, whatever you want to call it. And like I say, it's now central. And that gives me this big space here, which is, you know, good handspan. Enough to put a pan on. Or a kettle if I want to boil some water. Something like that. So that's the idea with that. So I'll get that all riveted in. Yeah. Right. That's me stovepipe mount in. It does all need cleaning up. This whole thing's going to get cleaned up. Yeah. All this edge will have a stove rope around it. Obviously the rubber sealant are good for that. So that's the idea. The chimney or stovepipe will sit over there and go up through the tent. I'll just put the lid on the box and see how it looks. So yeah, that's the general gist of it. We'll I'll get that door cut out and mounted on tomorrow. And my stovepipe sits on there, just like that. Pan you up. There we go. And because it's a fat 50 cal box, it's slightly larger than a normal 50 cal. Which I don't. Ah, yeah, I've got one here. So that's a normal 50 cal box. This one's just a power supply. I put a battery in it and hook into whatever, and then there's a socket in the back. It's slightly larger, so I can get a longer stove. Everything will fit inside it, hopefully. And yeah, so I think I'm going to call that part 1.